Hello everyone, I'm Joel Chasnoff and welcome back to FIDF Live, our new Friends of the IDF TV show, where we bring the story of Israel and its soldiers to you. In every episode of FIDF Live, we're going to meet the young men and women who are shaping Israel's future and talk to the soldiers themselves, including lone soldiers from your home communities. We'll also go on base visits, dropping in on the military bases of some of the IDF's most legendary units. And every episode, we're going to hear from FIDF supporters like you. Today, we are celebrating International Women's Day, a global day where we celebrate the achievements and trailblazing accomplishments of women. You're going to meet women currently serving in the IDF, including a few combat soldiers who are doing the same grueling and exhausting jobs as their male counterparts. Jobs that, to be honest with you, I can't imagine doing. We'll also meet some highly accomplished young women who have finished their service and have gone on to achieve incredible things. So sit back, buckle up, and let's get started with a look at the risk-taking, odds-defying, barrier-breaking women of the IDF.
Don't let anyone define you or tell you what you can or cannot be. You're the only one who decides.
You have the power to change the world. You just have to believe that you can. You're stronger than you think. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
We are strong, we are ambitious, we are unstoppable.
We aim to open more doors, more positions, and more opportunities for women in the IDF. The glass ceiling isn't the limit. We can smash through it and reach for the sky.
Do you think any of us would be where we are if we hadn't pushed the limits? Nothing should stand in your way.
Your success is determined by how much you want it. And if you want it badly, you're gonna get it.
My first guest is Shir Peled. Shir drafted into the Israeli Border Police in 2002, and at just 19 years old became a true trailblazer as one of the first women to serve as an undercover fighter in the IDF's elite counter-terrorism unit, which is pretty much a real-life version of the TV show Fauda. Over a period of 4 years, Shir participated in numerous missions, gathering intelligence and intercepting terrorists, risking her life each time as she infiltrated hostile populations in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. What makes Shir's experience all the more impressive is that she took on this difficult role while facing an extra challenge, the challenge of being among the first women to serve in this all-male environment. Without further ado, Let's welcome Shir Peled. Shir, I'm so excited to hear your story.
Hi, Joel. It's exciting to be here.
Great. I'm glad you could join us.
Thanks.
First, tell us a little bit about yourself and also why you decided to go into a combat unit. I know now women, it's more common, but back in 2002 when you drafted, it wasn't so common. So what made you make that choice?
Well, my idea to volunteer for a combat position in the army arose actually from a few things. As a teenager, I grew up in Jerusalem in the hard times of the Second Intifada. One day in my senior year, I went on a bus home, on my way home from school, and as I was walking towards the end of the bus looking for a seat, a suicide bomber exploded right behind the bus that I was on. I think that my life pretty much changed after this incident. And since the army was the next stop for me, I decided to do a meaningful role in the army. And I decided to go for a combat role.
Did you have to convince the army to let you try? Were they open to it? Like, what was the status at that time?
Well, at that time in 2002, there were no combat positions for women. At first, they said no, and I was a stubborn teenager, still am.
We're glad you were.
So I couldn't accept that, and finally I found the border police, which opened their gates for women in 1996.
And there were 20 women who tried out for the unit that you eventually would go for, but only 3 were selected, and you were one of the 3. Mm-hmm. So what was the selection process like, and then what was the training like once you got into this very elite secret unit?
Well, actually it was a tactical decision because it was during the Second Intifada, and the undercover fighters had a hard time to be in the field, in the villages and the Arab cities because everybody was really on high alert and very suspicious. So the commanders decided, okay, they're not going to dress up as women because they can't really go deeper and to places that no one will suspect them. So we need women to fill this job. I learned how to blend in the field without anybody noticing me or suspecting me. Wow. Yeah, and actually, I think like a tiger in the jungle, to sneak up very quietly on my target, and just being invisible.
I want to jump now to the missions themselves. Is there a certain mission that stands out, or a particular operation that you won't forget, a memory you can share with us?
Okay, so it was in one of the villages in the West Bank, and it was a big operation. We had to catch 4 armed terrorists that came to make an armed deal in one of the restaurants in the village. Me and my partner that day, our cover story was husband and wife. And our job was to secure a road that leads to the restaurant. And I hear over the radio that the terrorists are already in the restaurant and the deal was done. So everybody's just waiting for the sign, for the signal to go in and do what we came to do. They come out of the restaurant, and then my team, the other undercover fighters, drew out their pistols. The uniformed units rushed in to assist us, and helicopters covered the sky. Me and my partner were starting walking towards the main force, and then one of the suspects started to run to our direction with a loaded gun in his hand. He, of course, didn't know who we are. And we're moving very slowly towards him. He's like 2 inches from us, and my partner moves in and shoves him to the ground. In this moment, I just drew my gun and aimed it to his head. It was complete silence. I think I never seen anyone in that state of shock in my life. His gun was aimed to me also, but he just threw it. Because I was an Arab woman, Arab religious woman, pointing a gun to him. And then 2 soldiers came and grabbed him and arrested him. and I just cover my face and disappeared into one of the cars.
Now, here's a little twist, though. I heard you don't speak Arabic.
Not a word.
So how can you infiltrate and do what you do without speaking Arabic?
As I said before, I mean, when we see Fauda or any other show about special forces, we usually see the moment when we draw our guns.
Right.
When everything is exploding and, you know.
The exciting moment.
Yeah, of course. But actually, the exciting moment and the difficult thing is to get there without anybody noticing you. I'm sort of part of, I think, like in the background. Nobody is supposed to approach me. That's actually the job, to know how to blend in very well, and nobody will suspect you. And also, I'm a woman, and in the Arab culture, you don't address women, religious women, in the streets. And if they do, there's a lot of ways to communicate with people without speaking. But I can't tell you, because then I'll have to kill you. So.
And I'm not going to challenge that. Believe me, you've taught me enough. Do you ever meet with young women today who are 18,
Yes, of
19?
course.
And do you see a difference between them and the women you drafted with in 2002 in terms of their attitudes towards serving, or maybe the same?
It's the same. They're very enthusiastic, and I think the difference is in my time it was very unusual, but
Right.
today it's a common thing. Almost every other young woman wants to be a fighter today. So it's very important for me to talk to them all the time.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. I could talk with you for hours, but it's been super exciting to hear your story, and I hope we hear more of you, because you're an inspiration for
Thank you so
not just
much.
women in Israel, but all around the world. I really believe so.
Thank you so much. It was
Sure.
a pleasure.
Toda rabah.
B'kasha.
Shir Peled, everyone. One of the best parts of hosting this show is that every so often I get to visit various IDF bases around the country. Last week, the team and I dropped in on Battalion 595. They're known as Eagle Battalion, a special unit inside the Combat Intelligence Corps. The battalion is stationed in the Golan Heights along the Syrian border. There is no messing around when you're up there. The battalion constantly faces hostility and life and death threats from Syrian forces, Hezbollah, and potentially Iranian militias. The Eagle Battalion is made up of combat field intelligence soldiers who are in charge of collecting intelligence and observers who operate a real-time situation room as they observe the border literally 24/7, 365 days a year. Now, as you can imagine, most of the battalion's work is classified, but having seen them in action myself, I can tell you that they are, how should we put it, at the forefront of Israel's defense. They serve as the IDF's eyes and ears, as they are the first line to see, identify, and report any suspicious and terrorist-related activity. In the past year, this battalion has grown, adding a company of female combat soldiers to its ranks. And by the way, this is the perfect opportunity to give a shout out to FIDF's Georgia and Los Angeles chapters, who have adopted the Combat Intelligence Corps as part of FIDF's Adopt a Unit program. Now, in case you're not familiar, through FIDF's Adopt a Unit program, entire brigades, combat units, Navy flotillas, and Air Force squadrons receive direct support from communities in the United States. Through this program, a direct connection is formed between the unit and its adopters, benefiting its soldiers' welfare and well-being. So now, let's get to know the soldiers of Battalion 595 of the Combat Intelligence Corps. Well, we're out here in the Shetach, out in the field, with soldiers from Battalion 595, Combat Intelligence Gathering. But first, let's get to know you a little bit. Tell me your name, where you're from.
I'm Yuli, I'm from Haifa, and I'm 20. I'm Iran. I am from Kibbutz Kisufim, but I'm a lone soldier from San Francisco, California, and I'm also 20.
I'm Sean, living in Givat Shmuel. I'm 22, and I'm from Berlin, Germany, a lone soldier.
Wow, 2 lone soldiers. So you guys are intelligence gathering here in the Golan Heights. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? What is your mission?
Well, we're combat field intelligence, and the point of our job is to go and collect intelligence from Syria, basically, to Israel, that any information that could cause harm to Israel in that particular area.
And how long are you going for when you go out on a mission?
Usually when we go out for a mission, we go the least 24 hours to any time. Usually it's like 72 hours to a week, but it could usually be a lot more.
Sean, what is that like psychologically? Going out for that long and living out in nature with the same group for up to a week.
It can be kind of fun. It can feel like a field trip with your classmates, and but like it's different because you're still like kind of you have to like stay in the mission, keep your head up, and like always do what your commanders tell you. Like you with your friends, you can chill with them. You have a lot of resting time in between your guarding time. And if you go into your guarding time, what we call shmirot, you always have to be fully focused and just do the best for the mission.
And the mission is going on day and night, correct?
Always.
This morning, we got a chance to actually see you guys in action. We went out into the field with you, and we noticed that the men, guy soldiers, work together, and women soldiers work together. Are the jobs usually different? Are they doing different things?
The jobs is the same, the missions is the same missions, but the teams is 2 different teams. A team of girls and a team of boys. We do the same missions. Sometimes the boys are start the missions and then the girls are come to switch them. And we always do the same thing in different places, but the same work, the same job, the same mission.
Oran, one of the things we're celebrating around this time is International Women's Day. And I'm just curious what it means to you as a woman serving in a combat unit that does literally the same thing that guys do when they're on the mission. Does that mean anything to you? Does it resonate?
It means so much to me. You don't understand. Being with a group of strong women, the girls I did training with, and the training we did isn't, chips, real easy. We had navigation, and so we go and we learn how to navigate during our training. I couldn't walk anymore, and I came back, and they're like, all right, it was like we came back at 8 at night, they're like, all right, prepare, you're going on another navigation. I started crying, and I was like, I don't want to do this. It's raining and cold. And all the girls on my team came, and they're like, no, you got this. You're okay. They're like, we'll help you with this. And one of them was bringing me food and that. And for that moment, I was like, wow, it's incredible.
Sean, how about you? From Germany, Berlin. Why join the Israeli army?
I guess because I really love this country. I grew up with my mom telling me stories about the army and about Israel and about how great it is to be here. And I actually came to visit a lot before I drafted, and I always loved this country. I always loved the people. I always loved the food. I loved everything about it, and it was always my dream to come to Israel and to give something to this country, especially after I made Aliyah, to give something back to this country. And I felt that's the way.
בזילי כמו מכפיל 2, אני עכשיו מוקים האמצעים.
When you get back to base after 24 hours, a week out in the field, what's the first thing you guys do?
First of all, we have to check if everything came back. And I think right after, I'm sprinting to the shower.
Yeah.
First of all, showering, that's very important to me, and then get a good amount of sleep.
Well, Ron, you're from San Francisco, which is a great city, and yet you left it to join the Israeli army and become a lone soldier. Why?
I also have an Israeli parent who, my dad talked about Israel and talked about his life here and being a soldier, and that's something that I've always wanted to do in a sense. And I also, my last year of school, when I was deciding if I wanted to go to college or come here, I was thinking about how much I really wanted to give to Israel.
When you're out in the field doing your missions, it's collecting intelligence. What does that really mean in terms of the army, the state of Israel, that job that you're doing, the collecting intelligence?
I think it's the kind of building point on the defense of Israel, because we only do a small part of like a bigger chain in the army. And our small part is the job that not a lot of people like to do, to go during the winter, summer, all around the year, go into the shetach, into the field, and gather the information for different units, for all the units, Golani, the Air Force. We bring that information to them, and so they can do their jobs to protect Israel.
I think we can say that we are building the picture of the intelligence of Syria for Israel, for the army.
Now, army life is always difficult, but especially this past year with COVID, it's been even more challenging. But I know that FIDF was involved and sent you some packages. Tell me about that.
Because of COVID, we had to close for a long time at base, up to more than 30 days. And we received like small packages of hygiene, basic hygiene. So I would just say thank you for the toothbrushes, the toothpaste, all the shaving equipment. It really helped us.
Guys, thanks for giving me some time. It was really great to get to know you a bit and hear about what you do.
Thank
you. Thank you, FIDF.
I hope you enjoyed this exclusive visit as much as I did in real life. It was awesome to see these guys and gals in action. It's possible because FIDF is the official support organization of the IDF. Now, as a former lone soldier, my favorite part of FIDF Live is the segment where we meet Chayalim Bodedim, as they're known in Hebrew, lone soldiers. These are the young women and men who have no immediate family in Israel, but they choose to leave the comforts of home and family to serve and protect the state of Israel. FIDF provides comprehensive support for these incredible lone soldiers, ranging from providing community, financial grants, flights home to reunite with family, and even housing for those who have nowhere to return on the weekends. Our goal is that while they are lone, they never feel alone. Now, first, we're going to meet Corporal Kylie. She's a lone soldier from New Jersey. She serves in the Tavor Battalion of the IDF Homefront Command's Search and Rescue Brigade. And Mazel Tov, Kylie, she just received her Orange Beret. The Tavor Battalion is adopted by FIDF's Westchester and Connecticut chapter. Let's meet Kylie.
Hi, I'm Kylie. I'm 19 years old from New Jersey, and I'm in the Tavor Battalion in the Search and Rescue Brigade, and I'm super excited to be here with you guys. I'm the grandchild of a Holocaust survivor, and it adds special importance to me being here today in the IDF. My grandpa was born in Poland and went through 7 concentration camps, and he ended up in Auschwitz in the end and escaped the death march. The truest message of bravery to me and determination that he was able to continue on and raise a strong Jewish and Zionist family after all he's been through, and we're many, many in his family. Coming to the Search and Rescue Brigade specifically was a dream of mine that I wasn't sure if I would get, because it's kind of a gamble which position you'll get in the Army, actually. And I really wanted it because the beauty of the Search and Rescue Brigade is that you're saving lives. Not only are we practicing to help out in search and rescue missions and physically save lives in the case of disasters, and also the Search and Rescue Brigade is a combat unit under Picud Aoref, the Home Front Command, which has a special uniqueness to it because not only are we combat fighters, but we have a special mission in order to protect the citizens and residents of Israel during peace times as well. And so in terms of Corona, my brigade has been sent out to provide information, to help out people who can't leave the house, to give food. So we do a lot of things besides combat and rescue. Recently we had the Beret March, which symbolizes that we finished training, and we receive our beret, the orange beret, which symbolizes rescue. Well, it was definitely the climax in all of my service to be awarded the Excellence Award for training in my battalion. And it meant so much to me, especially as a lone soldier, because it was very difficult for me, this service, this training with language barriers and cultural barriers. And to see that despite all this, I still managed to be an outstanding soldier really put a smile on my face. And it gave me extra pride to be here and be with my friends. So the FIDF has definitely influenced my service in a positive way. I think the first moment where I noticed it was in Sukkot, where the sukkah had the FIDF logo in the corner. But since then, I've received so many benefits through the FIDF. And on Rosh Hashanah, the FIDF gives lone soldiers a gift card, which helped me pamper myself a little and give me the stuff that I needed for the Chag. One of the difficulties in being a lone soldier is the fact that your family's not here with you. And for me, specifically, I haven't been home in 2 years to see them, and I miss them very much. But if you guys are watching, I want to say I love you and thank you so much for your support. Bye, guys.
Now we're going to visit Private Alexa. She's a lone soldier from Los Angeles, and she serves in the Kedem Battalion of the IDF Home Front Command's Search and Rescue Brigade. The Kedem Battalion is adopted by the FIDF's Baltimore chapter. So thank you to all of you in Baltimore. Let's meet Alexa.
Hi, I'm Alexa. I'm 23 years old from Los Angeles, and I'm currently serving as a combat soldier in the Kedem Battalion of the Search and Rescue Unit in the IDF. I was born and raised in Burbank, California, right outside of Los Angeles. Shortly after getting my bachelor's degree from the University of Arizona, I worked as a teacher in Los Angeles for a year before I made Aliyah and moved here to Israel to join the Army. For so long, I felt this compelling passion for Israel and to live here and to be a part of this place that my ancestors dreamed of and that they fought for so long. But I knew if I wanted to live here and I wanted to be a part of it, I had to join the Army. And for me, it wasn't mandatory. I'm 23, I'm technically old by Army standards, but in my heart, it was mandatory. For me, it was mandatory. So I didn't always picture myself being a combat soldier, but I was always really interested in the Search and Rescue Brigade. All the time I would see on the news whenever there was a natural disaster abroad, Israel would always be the first to send aid, and it was always the Search and Rescue Brigade. So that was really interesting to me, and I knew I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. I wanted to be a soldier with this unique specialty, this unique skill to help people. All my friends and people that know me, they always say that I'm the type of person where if there's a danger, most people will run away from it because they're scared, but I will run to the danger to help people. So I knew that this would be the right fit for me. My dad's cousin Larry, my second cousin, is really involved with the FIDF and has been for so many years with the Western Regions Board. And I've always known that he's supported and worked so hard to support IDF soldiers. So for him to see me here as an IDF soldier, I can imagine he's filled with a lot of pride, and I know that when I talk to him, he's happy to show pictures to his kids, and he's happy to have someone in his family actually on the other side, and I'm honored to be that person. What would I say to Larry and Amy? Larry and Amy, if you're watching, I'm ready for you to come visit as soon as COVID is over. Me and the Kedem Battalion are waiting for you. Action! I know that my service is definitely going to impact my future in many positive ways. I think I'm going to come out of this as a much better leader. I think I'm going to come out of this with skills I never knew I could even possess. But most importantly, I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning to push myself out of my comfort zone, push myself physically, and I'm really learning what it means to be a part of this society. And I know that's going to be the biggest change for me once I'm done here. I definitely feel the support of the FIDF. When I first drafted, I received a grant that really helped me out, especially as a lone soldier. And it was just such a nice gesture that made me feel like I have support through the end of my service. And from the bottom of my heart, I really can't thank the FIDF enough. I know my family worries about me, and all I can say to them is, don't worry, I'm here, I'm being trained, I got this, everything will be okay in the end, and I'm in good hands.
FIDF is more than just an organization. It's a partnership between you, the supporters, and the IDF and its soldiers. Together, we are protecting and transforming the future of Israel, our home. Together, as we strengthen the country, we are changing lives and creating a brighter future for the soldiers and Israel for years to come. So thank you for making a difference, and please share your passion with others who love Israel as much as you do. Now, it seems only fitting that we introduce you to some of these unsung heroes, the ones who don't necessarily wear uniforms. So featured in each FIDF Live episode is a segment called Why I FIDF, where we'll meet FIDF supporters from all across the United States and hear directly from them why they're a part of our FIDF community. So let's get to know one of FIDF's many committed supporters who is going on 29 years of supporting FIDF, Larry Katz from Long Island, New York.
It's amazing. I'm just amazed. You go, there's earthquakes in Brazil, in Haiti, in, tornadoes, floods, mudslides. Who's the first to go and help? From all over the world, the Israeli army, the young men and women from all over the world, the lone soldiers. It's amazing. It's amazing what reputation the Israeli army has in the world. When I went to one dinner, there was a girl from Alaska whose parents moved there. I don't know. Maybe there were 4 Jews in whole Alaska. I don't know. But anyway, and then she, for some reason, joined the Israeli army. She left Alaska and she went to the Israeli army. It's amazing. It's amazing the draw that the Israeli army has on young people. It's not for the fighting or anything. It's the camaraderie. It's the education. It's the leadership that you develop by being in the Israeli army. Why do I support the FIDF? The real question is, why do I support the State of Israel? Because the FIDF is an organization that was started by Holocaust survivors many years ago, and they knew what it is to be without a country that you could go to, or a country that will protect the Jewish people all over the world. So supporting the FIDF is more than just supporting soldiers, young soldiers, men and women who have sacrificed their prime years in order to protect the State of Israel and Jewish people.
And that does it for our second episode of FIDF Live. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This was a great episode. We got to meet Shir Peled and hear about her pioneering service as a mistarevet, protecting Israel deep undercover and spotlighting the role of women in the IDF. And of course, we visited Battalion 595 on the northern border, giving us a clear wake-up call to the threats and challenges the IDF faces today. Thank you to Corporal Kylie for inspiring us with her story, and Private Alexa for sharing her special commitment to serving the Jewish people. And thank you to one of our own, Larry Katz from Long Island, for expressing his deepest commitment to FIDF Together, we are one family with a shared vision for a better future. For more information on any of FIDF's programs that you heard about today, you can go to FIDF's website at fidf.org. And please, join us. Sign up to follow Friends of the IDF on Facebook and Instagram, and make sure to mark your calendars for Tuesday, March 16th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for our next episode of FIDF Live. Invite your family, friends, and all Israel lovers too. You will not